Hey, I'm Warren Ellis, and here it is, the EASTWOOD tenor guitar that the world's been waiting for. It's finally here. It'll be in the shops very soon, and this is the end result of a meeting actually in 2009, the end of 2009 at All Tomorrow's Parties in New York. And I'd originally met Mike Eastwood at All Tomorrow's Parties in the UK, and he gave me his card, and around that time I was starting to mess around with the Mendocaster. I'm a violin player, well, primarily a violin player, and I discovered these 4-string mandolins called Mendocasters, but they were very hard to find. 4-string ones, 8-string ones were around, but the 4-string ones were a bit tricky to find. And I called Mike up and got an answering machine and said, look, you know, I'm looking for a 4-string Mendocaster, can you call me back? Anyway, I didn't hear from him, and then a couple of years later he came up to me at All Tomorrow's Parties in New York and said, look, I got your message, but I couldn't understand the number at the end. What, you know, are you still looking for an instrument? And I said, well, no, actually, I found some other Mandocasters, but I'm looking for a tenor guitar now. You should make one. And he sort of had a little think about it. Came back 5 minutes later and just said, would you like to design one? So here it is. After a couple of months of toing and froing, we arrived at this.
To consider after a brief meeting by chance in England at the ATP Festival in 2007, and then again 2 years later at ATP, where we had enough time to discuss the idea. Since that time, we haven't physically gotten together in any meetings or to discuss the project. Everything's been done over the internet, and that's been fun. Warren travels a lot, I travel a lot, but through emails we're sending each other back and forth ideas on the body shape, on the tone, on the neck, the feel of the neck, the size of the neck, the width of the neck, the headstock shape, and all the things that come together in designing a new instrument. And to think that it was all done from a discussion a little over a year ago at ATP to now, full production and out to the shops in October of 2010. That's pretty exciting for me, and I think for Warren as well, because I don't have, he brings the knowledge of what a player would want in such a unique instrument as this, without any knowledge of how the manufacturing process is. And I have all the knowledge of manufacturing, but not really a genuine idea of what a professional player is looking for. And I think that's where this thing is really come up beyond my expectations. That's exciting.
I think originally the reason why I approached Mike about making this was that I'd been looking for a tenor guitar, and I'd had one made in Australia, and whenever I found them, they were always very expensive and you know, vintage models that were kind of getting a bit unaffordable and being bought by collectors. And I just thought it'd be great if there was an affordable tenor on the market that was a really good quality and a playable instrument.
My instinct was that here was an instrument that really didn't exist in our Eastwood's price point, and I think if we could, my thinking was if we could bring it out in that kind of under $500 range with high quality and beat people's expectations, then there's a market for just the average guitarist out there that owns 2, 3, 4 guitars, maybe a mandolin, maybe a bass. This is something that is going to help them with their tonal palette, and it's not going to break the bank. And that's what struck home with me. And I think Warren and I For his reasons and my reasons, they came together once again to make one good reason to make this instrument.
Wanted this guitar to be simple, piece of wood, with a pickup, one pickup, which is what I like, just one front pickup. And we decided to do a few things with it to make the neck a bit wider for make it a bit more manageable, I guess, for guitar players and also bass players. There's a lot of room between the strings here.
Warren came in with his ideas. For example, the wider fretboard. It's spectacular. For me, I'm not a player of a tenor, and I don't play instruments in fifths, although it's exciting to learn how to play that. It was important to him to have that little notion. For me, my angle was that Eastwood and Airline guitars have been making headway with weird shaped guitars, bizarre guitars, guitars that more knobs and switches than anybody would ever dream of, and odd body shapes. This one, I thought, Warren said one pickup, volume, tone. That obviously isn't an Airline kind of thing, but I thought if we keep it plain, simple, well constructed, and don't give somebody a reason not to buy it because it's weird or too many knobs, that's probably going to be a positive. So we came up with a very, very simple design, and I think quite appealing to a lot of players.
I'm primarily a violin player, which I think was what led to my initial attraction to the mandolin that went to the Mandocaster. And I like it because it's in fifths, and I think this is an instrument that is great if you're a cello player or a fiddle player, and also a guitar player, because it offers, you know, different kinds of tunings and a new way in, I guess, to something you might have been doing for a long time. I think the guitar's very beautifully made, nice and weighted. It's a nice sound. Got a nice stringy sound. I'm just going through a Princeton reverb, Fender Princeton reverb.
Things I really learned from Warren through this exploration and development of this guitar is that the tone of the tenor guitar is different than an electric guitar, or different from a guitar in general. And he's called it stringy, but and it's hard to describe that. But it's not like you can take two strings off a guitar and a six-string guitar and make a tenor. It's not the same. The scale length is shorter. The string gauges are heavier than the last four strings on an electric guitar, and with the string spacing and all of those things combined, you really end up with a completely unique tone, and it fits in a band. So it doesn't sound like you've got another guitar player on stage. So there's a lot of people out there. Nico Case, for example, has been playing tenor guitars, and it's a very unique tone. And it steps out of the mix compared to all the other guitars on stage at the time. But the applications for this guitar, I'm finding are quite unique. I think we're going to see a lot of blues players pick up on this and have a whole new world of voice in the band. Obviously, alt country type of music. You're going to see bluegrass bands, but there's obviously no limit to it, because if Warren Ellis can play it in a band like Grinderman, and if you're not familiar with him, you really should check them out. he's going to take this instrument to places that I think very few people would intend to take it. Yet when you hear it, you're going to want to try it because it's exciting.
I've already played this on a recording already I did with Grinder Man at the start of the year. Found it to be really good in the studio. Just gives you another voice to use. And I'll be taking one on the road with me. I think it feels like a nice solid instrument. Looks really cool. You know, what more can you ask for?